Wild Time Cooking with Allison Davis is brought to you by Corman Kitchen and Bath.
Hey, welcome back to Midday Kentucky. Chef Allison Davis here in the Wild Time Kitchen, and I'm cooking up kind of a meatless Monday meal that is going to be great for your kids, your family, especially if you like anything with some Mexican flavors into it. I'm making a Mexican Quinoa Bowl, and so we're going to start off by just kind of sauteing and searing off some vegetables. I've got just a little onion and garlic going into the pan, medium heat, with a little olive oil, just kind of letting those onions kind of sweat out a little bit. I'm going to add in some bell pepper here that I'm just going to dice up. And we're just going to keep kind of building this bowl, and you'll see how this all comes together. Now, the recipe that you're going to get for this, you can actually make this entire dish in one pot, where you can add the quinoa and you can actually add the broth in with all of these vegetables and cook it all in one. But I went ahead and cooked the quinoa because I wanted to talk about, just my way of cooking, perfect kind of flaky quinoa that you can see there. So what I tend to do is I'll double the ratio of water to quinoa. So I started with a cup of quinoa, and then I added in 2 cups of water. Bring that up to a boil, and then once it boils, turn it down to a simmer. And I let most of the liquid get absorbed, but still it will have a little bit of water in it. And then I just turn it off, and I let it sit the rest of the way and let it just keep absorbing that hot water until there's nothing left. And usually that is just the perfect consistency. The way to really tell with quinoa is it will bloom, and so you almost start to see it sprout, and you can see where that's like expanding. And that's it. So once it's done, we're going to add this in to this dish. So this little Mexican quinoa dish is, I've got peppers, onions, garlic, and then we're just going to kind of keep building this. I've got some diced tomatoes that we're going to add in. And if you don't want to go ahead and dice up tomatoes, you could actually just buy like the Rotel, and I'm adding some green chilies, and you can actually buy the diced tomatoes with the green chilies already in it, and that would work as well. I am going to chop off some corn just straight off the cob and add some fresh corn into this. Again, it's going to add a nice crunch and a sweetness to this bowl. And then we're going to add in some black beans. Now the black beans I actually just cooked. I took the beans, and soaked them overnight and actually cooked them down. So they're a little thicker and more of a puree. But you could just simply add in, canned black beans to this, and they would be good to go. So what I love about this is if you're doing this on a weeknight, especially Mondays, because everybody knows if you have a case of the Mondays, it's hard to plan dinner. This is very quick and easy, especially if you've got some of these pantry items in your pantry, like your black beans, your corn, your tomatoes, green chilies, all that. So we're just heating this up, and once all this comes together, honestly, it's going to be done and good to go. All right, well, I'll go ahead and add our quinoa in. You can see there's not much liquid left in that pot at all. The quinoa just set in that hot water and finished soaking that up. All right, so we're just going to keep kind of building this, letting all these flavors come together. I'm going to season this with a few little spices to kind of bring that Mexican flavor to life. We have some fresh cumin and then some coriander. And coriander is just the seeds of the cilantro plant. We're going to add some fresh cilantro into this, but I'm going to wait until towards the end, because I feel like cilantro, if you cook it and you let it sit and it keeps going, it kind of loses some of that flavor, and you want the brightness of that. So I usually wait and add that more as like a garnish. We're going to garnish this with some fresh lime, some fresh green chilies to kind of, or green onions to kind of bring a nice little color and pop to this. You could also garnish with some sliced avocados. And then if you want to keep it vegan, you could go right like this, because I just cooked the quinoa in water. There's no meat, there's no animal product. But my daughter's a fan of cheese, so we're going to go in with a little bit of Mexican cheese here and just kind of let that get nice and creamy and work in with all of this together. And that's really it. I mean, dinner done in 5 minutes. So you guys can find this recipe, of course, you know where, middaykentucky.com/recipes tab. I'm Chef Allison Davis. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be right back after this short break.